Okay, so on the guided practice, we just looked at arctan 1, which was using a calculator, but we're going to look at finding it now using the unit circle. So method 2, using the unit circle. So I have my unit circle, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2. Now we know that we have that this is the inverse of tan. Okay, so this is tan to the minus 1. And we know this is equal to y over x. So we know that's sine over cosine. And we're looking for the value when this is actually 1. So for the two values to be 1, we need them, when we divide them, to give us an answer. Okay, so for that to happen, they both need to be positive. So we know that in quadrant 1, that everything is positive. In quadrant 2, y is positive, but x is negative. In quadrant 3, they are both negative. So our options, we have quadrant 1 and quadrant 3, that if we divide, we would have the answer as 1. But our range is from plus 90 to minus 90. So it's not going to be quadrant 3. So y divided by x was equal to 1. We're going to have this here when we have a value of root 2 over 2, comma root 2 over 2. So when we divide those, we're going to have an answer of 1. And this is going to be at theta, which would be pi over 4 at 45 degrees. So pi over 4 or 45 degrees. Okay, so next question, we have cosine to the minus 1, 0. And if we use a method, so method of using the unit circle. So if we draw our unit circle, this is pi over 2 and pi, 3 over 2 pi, and 0 here, and 2 pi. So we're looking for a value. So cosine is x. So we want a value when x is 0. So x is 0 here. So this point here is 0, 0, 1. And this point down here is 0, minus 1. So looking at our range, so our range for the inverse of cosine is between 0 and 180. So we know that we're looking at the point for this angle here. So this is out of our range. So the angle we're looking at 0, 1 is going to be, so cosine to the minus 1, 0 is at pi over 2, which we know is 90 degrees. And if you wanted to use the calculator method, or we can use this just to check our answer. So we use the shift and cosine. So shift and the cosine, which will give us cos minus 1 in the calculator and 0. The answer is 90. And to convert this into pi radians, we multiply by pi over 180. And we'll have pi over 2. Okay, so the next question we have is arcsine, and it's minus root 2 over 2. So this is sine, the inverse of sine. And we're looking when, and we know that sine is the y value. So we're looking for when the y value, so we'll have a look at the unit circuit first. So using the unit circle. So we want a positive value for, or sorry, negative value for y. So this is at pi over 2. Pi minus y is 3 over 2. So values when, so we could have a value, there's a point here. So we have points here. When we have root 2 over 2 and minus root 2 over 2. Actually, get rid of that. Move that over. So we have root 2 over 2 and minus root 2 over 2. And then over here we'd have root 2 over 2 and minus root 2 over 2. So we've got two possibilities where y, so a sine to the minus 1, so y is equal to sine to the minus 1 of minus root 2 over 2. So two possibilities where y is minus root 2 over 2. So now we need to look at the domain. So the domain for sine is between 90, so that's going to be between 90 and minus 90, which means that this is not an option. So we're going to be looking at this angle here. So the angle, so this a minus, and we're looking at the angle here, theta. So this here is going to be at minus 45 degrees. So sine to the minus 1 of root 2 over 2 is, minus 45 degrees. And as radians, so to convert to radians, minus 45, and this would simplify, so we have minus pi over 4.